Oh yeah, look at that. It seems like there are only very few days left until the Forgotten Land comes out. Isn't that nice? Our long, painful wait will finally have an end and we can at least enjoy the first proper 3D Kirby, my dream game since I was a child. What are a few days in comparison to 20 years, right? We will bear these final moments with ease, absolutely no problem.
Let's keep our sanity for a few moments and relish the state before the release one final time. The greatest pleasure lies in the anticipation, and with every passing minute we are getting closer to our goal. So I want to use this video as one last retrospective of my personal journey through the wait and build up hype one more time before the Forgotten Land ultimately honors our flesh. If you're new to the channel, please stay, not all videos start like that. Everything began last year during Nintendo's September Direct, where they announced Kirby and the Forgotten Land after the noticeable wait for a new mainline Kirby game. Sadly, a picture of the game got leaked beforehand, and although it wasn't clear which direction the game would go, it must have been very annoying to see a Kirby game being leaked again. To be precise, if I remember correctly, it was actually Nintendo's fault, but nonetheless I was wise enough to shut down the internet and wait for the Direct to happen. It was also this time where I started this whole channel, because I had the feeling something was going to happen. I released my first video discussing how the next mainline Kirby game would be a 3D one, and although this assumption wasn't something groundbreaking since there was a suspicious long development time, I think I did a fairly good job explaining it more reasonably than simply saying it was about time. In fact, it's probably still my personal favorite of mine due to how accurate my predictions were. There's nothing like the first video talking absolutely nonsense in hindsight, right? But let's jump back to the game itself. If you have seen my reaction to the game, I have anticipated the Forgotten Land at every second, because I knew the new Kirby game must be announced there. And it was everything I and probably many fans have wished for. The first true 3D Kirby after many years of experiments and cancelled games was shown in its full glory, and I was quite surprised about the direction they took. I mean, I didn't expect an open world or something similar, but the setting is so mysterious that you could only wonder what kind of story or lore the game will have. Especially the last Kirby games did go pretty hard on the lore aspect, and I expect no less here. The rest of the year was quite tame until the January trailer dropped to confirm a lot of exciting stuff. Co-op multiplayer, new power-ups and more insights into the game in general left a much better impression of what the game is going to be. In case you haven't noticed, I didn't talk about the second trailer in a single video, because I tried to close myself off from the game as much as feasibly possible. Watch this video if you want to know my specific reasons. And I have to say, it was pure hell. Seeing how everyone was hyped and talked about all the new features left me in even more curiosity about the game. It's normal to have a first rather simplistic trailer to set the mood and show the concept of the game, but often it's the second one to really set the stage. Remember when Super Mario 3D World's first showing for the Wii U was received with disappointment and incomprehension due to how boring it initially looked? It wasn't bad, of course, but everyone, including me, expected something different, more grandiose for the first big HD 3D Mario game, instead of a simple successor to a 3DS game. Nintendo felt probably the same, and they knew they had to produce a more exciting, more thrilling trailer in order to really sell 3D World to the people. A second big gameplay trailer was shown to the public during a direct and changed the mind of many players. And although I haven't seen the second Forgotten Land trailer, I think it's a very similar case, with the clear difference that the Forgotten Land wasn't received with heavy criticism. I don't even have an idea how the multiplayer actually looks. Will Bandana D be based on the spear ability again? Does this mean spear is returning for Kirby as well? And how will the structure of the game be? A level select screen or something completely different? So many questions and so many hunger for my knowledge left me in a stoic position where hype is vacuumed to an extent where every enemy of loud reaction videos should be happy about not to hear. But this was just the first step of the ongoing hype train. The February Direct should come and go, and naturally really reveal more details about the Forgotten Land. Here I thought they would just show 1 or 2 more additional details about stuff we already knew, maybe like more boss fights or copy abilities, but I had no idea that would happen. During the trailer I closed my eyes and ears shouting la 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 like an insufferable stupid child and was surprised how long it took. Every time I carefully asked my companion if I could open my eyes, she just clearly said, "No, this is a spoiler, firework." Naturally I tried to stay away again, and I think I did a fairly decent job. Besides this new mysterious mouthful ability, I haven't seen a single thing, which creates an interesting oxymoron. On one hand, I don't know any specific details except for the first trailer, so there's nothing technically that can hype me up. Although my excitement is huge just because it's a new Kirby game, that alone is more than enough. My expectations are simultaneously very tame. Of course I would like to see what you come to expect from a modern Kirby title, like a hard mode, crazy final and all the stuff, but due to being the first proper 3D Kirby platformer, I think it's wrong to go by patterns this time. Maybe they will throw out conventions left and right and establish new ideas that will lead the future of the franchise. Star Allies already did that to some extent, so it's not unreasonable to go in with a fresh mind and leave the past behind. With that being said, the time span of announcement and release wasn't that long actually. Waiting roughly half a year is normally the standard for Nintendo games that are not Zelda or Metroid Prime 4, and especially Kirby games tend to get released considerably soon after the reveal, but my personal wait lasts for 20 years by this point. Ever since I played Kirby 64 and all the other amazing 3D adventures of that era, I always wondered why Kirby would stick to 2D and dreamed of the day I could finally play a Kirby title akin to that time. Well, obviously Kirby and the Forgotten Land is something completely different, but all the more interesting considering how confident the game looks. You don't get the feeling this is the first 3D one, mainly due to some experiments and spin-offs, but also because they took their time to really think about the transition and how it could work. The result is a game seemingly everyone is optimistic about, and when a game manages it to get the attention of players who either never played a Kirby game or lost interest in the series, you know you did something right. But all of this remains to be seen. Whether or not the game satisfies my desires is trivial. What's much more important is that this next step will be successful at the masses and motivates the developers to bring Kirby on par with huge hitters like Mario or Zelda, because there's no reason to keep Kirby smaller than he and his potential actually is, and going by everything we have seen so far, I think it's fair to say that the Forgotten Land does not need to hide behind the big guys. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Are you even hyped for this game or just curious about potentially becoming a Kirby fan? Was the wait long and painful or just perfectly balanced? And are you even planning on buying Kirby and the Forgotten Land? Let me know in the comments. If only there was a way to somehow play the game earlier. Heh.